Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Again, folks, we talk every week about how many different places you can be. Mary and her team at Simply Done Concierge can help you be in two places at once for whatever you need. You'll go to simplydoneconcierge.com, tell us what you need help with, and Mary and her team will jump right on it. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns, has 33 chapters each week that meet, and our goal is to help each other grow their business. And every now and then we step out to the beach to our friends down in the Wilmington area in the coastal region of BNI. And our small business success story this week is Brittny Reinert, the marketing director at Monarch Roofing. Brittny is part of the Brunswick Business Builders. They meet Wednesday mornings at 8:45 at the Brunswick Beer and Cider in Leland, which is just south of Wilmington. Brittny is the president of this brand new chapter. Been going, I think, about maybe 6 months now. Brittny, good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
So you guys, I'm fine, thank you. So you guys are at 6 months ish.
Yeah, we launched right in October
Okay.
whenever everything reset, so it was perfect timing.
Yep. All right. So it's felt like it's been what, 2 months because things have gone by so fast. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And you still like being president?
Yes, I love it. It's my favorite part of the week. I always look forward
Yep.
to it.
All right. What's the best thing about being president?
Just the fact that I'm able to kind of cater the meetings how I want and I can bring my energy and passion into everyone else as well. I get a lot of feedback from people all the time that I make the group more fun and lively, and I love that because I mean all of us do.
Yeah.
Everyone plays such a huge role in the group, but it's really cool just to see that I am the one leading that every week.
Yep. I'm with you on that. It's a lot of fun to do that. You truly can help set the tone. Just the way you welcome people or a good one liner or an introduction of somebody. And it matters. So I'm with you on that. I'm glad you're in Coastal BNI. Glad you're president of your chapter. So all right. So the roofing industry. All right. So there's a couple places that homeowners, I go out on a limb and say they never look at. One is their roof, one is their crawl space. And if they've looked at their crawl space, it's usually for storage purposes. But
Yeah.
roof, we don't think about, we don't look at. So what are a couple things that you would like to share with homeowners about their roof and what they may want to look for?
Obviously, you don't want to wait until you have a leak. You want to kind of nail that head on before you can before it causes any interior damage. So you always want to look for missing shingles. That's kind of an
Mm,
easier, obvious area. If you can see that there's no shingle there anymore, obviously you're more prone to having a leak. But definitely getting your local trusted roofer to come out and look at it. You're supposed to, we recommend get a roof inspection once every year, especially after any wind damage, like storms that could have caused wind damage or hurricanes. I mean, those are the obvious ones, but that way you can kind of keep up to date and you have a full report of, okay, when was the last storm? Like the wind went up to 65 miles an hour. Like, let me make sure my roof's okay and I didn't get any shingles missing that I can't see from the ground. And you want someone that actually can go up there and look for you and then take all these pictures and show you what they found like we do.
yep. And we are more likely to notice gutters than roofs. Sometimes we'll see gutters that probably still aren't attached to the house, depending on how old the house is.
Yeah.
But what could, with regard to our gutters, what are we looking for to see if there may be a problem up there as well?
Definitely clogged gutters. Any clogged gutters or debris that could even be on the roof that can build up over time when it rains, and that can cause leaks as well. So definitely any clogging, that means you obviously have debris. I know pine straw is a big one here.
Yep. Now, a lot of people in the home services world I laugh at because at times we love these DIYers who they think they can do it, and then eventually they need to call a professional like you and the folks at Monarch Roofing. And my guess is, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but my guess is, oh yeah, my buddy next door's got a drone and he flew it over my roof. I didn't, not, everything was in place. Do you really know what you're looking for? So are you hearing any of that from folks?
Yeah, people say that a lot. I know some home inspector companies, they'll actually just use a drone too. But really you can't see everything from a drone. You could have nail pops up there that can cause a leak inside and you wouldn't even know it from looking at a drone.
A nail
Or
pop.
even like, yeah,
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
I know those are the hard ones to find. That's definitely the hardest thing from a drone. I mean, you can easily see a missing shingle,
Yeah.
but nail pops are the main source of leaks.
Yeah, and then the folks along the coast have way bigger problems than we have here. Obviously, we'll still get hurricane weather and sometimes hurricane-like weather, but more times than not, you guys are getting the true weather, which I I don't know what percentage of damage it does to a roof, but I'm assuming it speeds up the time frame of replacing roofs.
Yeah, definitely. They can blow off your whole roof. There's a new thing called fortified roof. A
Mhm.
lot of people know what that is in North Carolina. It's kind of just a more hurricane-proof proning that you can do to your roof. So you put zip tape in between where the plywood meets, in between all those gaps, and then you use a different nailing pattern and that kind of protects your roof. So then, if your shingles were to blow off in a hurricane, then you're not going to experience any leaking. And they've done several tests through IBHS to prove this.
Is that pretty new?
It's a few years,
Are people
but
taking you up
it's
on that?
yes, they actually provide up to an $8,000 grant through IBHS with your
Mhm.
wind and hail policy with NCJUA.
Alright, so if somebody wants to learn more about that, they can call you guys, but if they're in the triangle, should they just call their competent roofer contact?
Yeah, mostly every roofer is fortified certified just because it is such a big thing here. A lot of people are going with fortified roofs now. But you can also go to fortifymyroof.com and you can always find a local roofer on there. They have a list of them.
Oh, nice, okay. Do you get into commercial roofs as well?
Yeah, so our corporate office in Myrtle Beach has a commercial department. So if it's a flat roof on a commercial building, they are going to come up and do that. But we have 17 years of experience, so it's really important. But if it's just a commercial building that has a normal roof on it, then we can do that. Like we did the famous toastery
Oh, yeah.
here a few months ago.
Mhm. Okay, I like that. So you are the marketing director at Monarch Roofing. You started as a marketing coordinator, and within a year's time, you're promoted to marketing director. Very impressive.
Yes.
So I know you as one of the great networkers in the Wilmington area because you truly are everywhere, but that's your job description and it matches your personality. So before I read off all the groups you're involved in, how many events a week do you go to?
Probably on average at least 4 a week.
All right. And those can be networking events, trade shows, social after hours socials.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
anything I can get involved in, I love it.
yeah. Have you turned down an event to go to just because you know what? I'm so tired. I do this all the time anyway.
Yes, actually, the ones that are later. I mean, I work at 7 in the morning, so sometimes there'll be an event at 6:30 at night, and I live 30 minutes outside of Wilmington, so it's hard to get to those ones.
Yeah. Here's the thing I learned when I started working with the chapters in Wilmington. I guess it's coming on a couple years. The first time I was down there, I was talking about, I forget what the topic was, but it had to do with geography in the area. And here in the Triangle, and you're from Pittsburgh, and we'll get to that. So your people are kind of used to driving, right? And on where you live and, things like that. And I was in a conversation with somebody and they said, oh, I'd have to cross the bridge for that. And my first thought was like, okay. And then I got further in the conversation and I realized that these bridges really separate things in Wilmington, don't they?
Yep, it's crazy. I can't believe people say that. I mean, It's not far at all. To get to downtown Wilmington from here is only 15 minutes.
But probably one or two bridges and the mental thing of going over. I don't I couldn't get them to be honest with me and say it was their fear of bridges, or it's just like, oh, the other side of the bridge, oh, Wilmington, or oh, Leland, which I'm sure you hear a lot. Like, come on, people. But that cracked me up first time I heard that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you hear that a bunch as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, now they closed the bridge because
Yeah.
of they have to do work on it. So that's even worse because now people that used to come across the bridge don't want to.
Now, how far out of the way do you have to go to get around that to the place you need to get to?
Well, there's two bridges. So they closed the one bridge so you can still get through the other bridge, but it's so much traffic now
Yeah.
because everyone is doing that. So no one wants to really wait. There's another route that you can take the highway, but that adds like 15 more minutes on. So
Okay. Are there
kind of
back
pick and
well,
choose.
and you can't really take back roads because those roads don't have bridges.
Yeah.
Huh. That was interesting. First time I heard that, I had to stop. And so then Diana Watkins, a friend of both, she's been on the show before. We were talking. She goes, "Okay, Mike, here's how you differentiate the people. The locals, they complain about the traffic because they're not used to it because the area is growing. All of us from other parts, other big cities around the country, doesn't bother. Two cycles at a stoplight doesn't even bother us at all."
Yeah.
And with her being from Philadelphia, it's like, okay, all right. All right. So part of your networking world, and that's what's helped you grow Monarch's business in the area. Rotary, the Rotary, the Chamber, the Port City Young Professionals Group, Professional Women in Building. Am I missing any groups you're part of or volunteer with?
Obviously BNI.
I probably should have had that on there too. Let me write it down.
But yeah, that's really the majority of it. I'm trying to grow that even more. I hear about the Brunswick County Association of Realtors a lot.
Mhm.
So I really want to become a part of that as well. But I am very involved in those main groups right now. So
Yep.
it is a lot. So I kind of look at my time and expand them as I see fit. But
I've had not a lot of conversations, but a few conversations over the time since you got involved with your chapter. Somebody and they always ask me about, and I tell them there's a Leland group in which is Brunswick County, and I said you probably need to go visit that, and they're like, "Who's in that?" I said, Brittany?" They're like, "Oh, the lady from Monarch." I'm like, "That is hers." "Oh yeah," and they end up visiting, which told me early on that you do get to a lot of events.
yes, I try my best.
How many of your roofing competitors do you see at these events?
It's weird because you'd think you'd see a lot of them, but really, I only run into them every so often.
Right?
Because I go every meeting. Like I've only missed two chamber meetings. One was because I had my master's final presentation, and the other one was because I went to a nonprofit luncheon to
Mm,
support one of our BNI members.
cool.
So other than that, I go to every single meeting, and it'll be like once in a while, maybe once every 2 months, that another roofer will show up.
All right, well, good for you. And we talk all the time in BNI, top of mind. If they see you every month, they're likely going to remember you every month and a lot longer than the other people who, regardless of the industry, show up twice a year. And then they wonder why they're not getting any business out of those groups.
Oh yeah, I know. That's the funny part. They're like, "Why aren't you referring me?" Well, I haven't seen you in
Yep.
8 months, so
Yep.
I'm sorry, but I forgot.
Yep. That's on them. They won't admit it, but that's on them. So, and that's another thing that BNI has taught me. All right. So let's talk about overachieving now that you mentioned your master's degree. Okay. All right, so I'm good with you going to Marist for undergrad. No problems with that. Till I found out you were on the dean's list. Okay, that's my first problem. You're just showing off. Anybody on the dean's list is just showing off. So you move to Wilmington. You go to UNC Wilmington for your master's degree while you're working and being part of all these groups. Where do you find the time?
Honestly, I would just any second I got, I would just do homework. Weekends. I would never watch TV. People would always ask me, "Did you see this movie? Did you see this show?" I'm like, "I don't have time to watch TV." I mean, it worked out well because I looked at my time and budgeted my time very smartly, so I didn't stay up super late, like till 2 a.m. doing homework, because
Mm,
I know a lot of people do that.
yep.
I just tried to get everything done a little bit each day. So I would just start on a project and do half of it on Monday. And then I would dedicate Mondays and Thursdays. And I would do half of it Monday, half of it Thursday, and then finish it up on the weekend. So
Okay.
then that really alleviated all of that stress, and getting it done early definitely helps more than procrastinating.
Now, was the master's degree a plan all along?
It really wasn't. So I got really lucky growing up. My grandpa set aside college accounts and like college funds for me and my all of my cousins. So my mom obviously like manages that account, and she told me that we had extra money left, that if I wanted to continue education that I should do so. And at first I was skeptical, like I don't want to do that. Like I'm busy enough. I don't need to, like what's that going to do for me? She's like, "Well, I mean, you why would you let that money go to waste? That's what
Mhm.
it's for." And I went to my undergrad for public relations, and I kind of like I wanted to learn more about communications and marketing because I didn't really see the marketing side of it. And I actually started working at Monarch right after I started getting my master's. But I had an internship at the time and I just didn't like it. It was all the back end SEO, blog writing.
Mm.
And I'm like, I know there's another side to marketing than this. So I found the master's program. It was online, so I knew I could do
Okay.
that even with a job. And then just went from there to try to learn as much as I could about the industry.
Yeah, and that's interesting talking with folks about online learning in general. Some people, I'm not a huge fan of it because sometimes I need to ask a follow-up question, or sometimes just being in the room for me, I feel like I'm absorbing more because let's face it, on a Zoom call, if we're at home, like just around you right now, right? Just with the windows, the doors, you know what? Because I'm working from home. Hey, let me throw that load of laundry in, or fill up the dishwasher, things like that. And before you know it, wow, it's 10:15. How did it get to that time? So, did you enjoy the online part of learning?
I really just did because of time.
Mm,
The campus is 35 minutes from my house. So I just knew that would just be a lot. And the part of campus that, or the part of town that UNCW is on is very heavy traffic.
yep.
It's on South College Road. That's just so much. It would have probably taken me an hour and a half just to go and come back. So I was like, that's not really worth it. And I want to have time. Like, if I have a full time job, I can't be leaving in the middle of the day to go to a class.
Yeah, and for those folks who aren't familiar with Wilmington, it's a beautiful campus, but it is smack dab on the main thoroughfare of College Avenue. So, because it gets you, I-40 dumps out into College, to tell people how much traffic is on College. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. So, were you a pretty good test taker?
No. I'm so bad at taking tests.
So, how did you manage to pass then?
Well, it's nice because marketing and communications, it's not really test taking, it's
Mhm.
more presentations.
Ah,
So you
okay.
kind of do your research, you do some discussion posts and write about it, but mostly you put together different presentations, kind of defending your point that you're making. And like I would do a lot of overviews on different organizations, nonprofits. If there were a crisis at a organization,
Yeah.
how would you respond to that? And just kind of laying it out and breaking it up that way and presenting what you think.
Okay. Are you able to apply some of this towards Monarch Roofing in your day-to-day job?
Yeah, definitely. At first, it helped a lot making presentations because I had to do the social media, and
Mm,
I had a little bit of experience managing social media accounts, but it was more pictures. And like obviously roofing, you want to post pictures, but also graphics. And I never did anything much with graphics. So making presentations all the time really helped with that aspect of it. And just all the information I have in my back pocket in case I need. Obviously, like responding as fast as possible to customers, that's huge. I
Mhm.
mean, everyone learns that. But just like researching more, it's made me more thorough with different things. I don't know. It's not that I've never been like a very thorough person with research and stuff, but definitely getting my master's helped with that the most, I would say.
All right, I like that. So another thing, I enjoy doing research on my guests because I always learn something. You sang opera in college?
Yes.
Do you still sing opera now in Wilmington?
No, I looked into it when I first moved down here, but it's just they're very small here,
Mm.
so it's hard to get in with it. And also, it's a lot. You have to continuously be training your voice and working, and it was just too much at the time. I couldn't juggle that and do what I actually wanted to do and have an actual life if I did that too. No. I'll
Was
sing karaoke still at bars, like pop songs and stuff at restaurants and karaoke nights, but
what is your go-to karaoke song?
Zombie by the Cranberries.
Nice. Wow, you're an old soul. Most
My dad, he listened to all
yeah.
that music, so
Yeah. Most people have no idea who the Cranberries are, and I'll do sometimes at home because I don't know about you, but I just need ambient noise in the background. Silence is my kryptonite. I just can't deal with it. And so I'll go to YouTube and just start videos. I'll start with like the Traveling Wilburys or, the Bee Gees or Toby Keith, something like that. And then it just kind of goes. And one day that video popped up. It's like, oh, I know that song. And I don't know that I've ever seen the Cranberries in person because when they first showed the band, like four guys, like three had guitars and one on the drums. I'm like, no idea who this is. And I heard the song. It's like, oh, so that's what they look like. Do you have a favorite opera?
see, I never really like went to see the operas, but the songs from Madame Butterfly I loved the most. I sang one for my senior recital.
Nice.
Or and then I actually auditioned with one for a music scholarship before I started at Marist, and I got the scholarship too. So
Who
that one's just been close to my heart from that.
Very cool. Who did you get that singing gene from?
No one knows. Honestly, my family has no idea. Nobody sang in my family. They don't know where it came from. So,
Okay. That would we had fun with my dad because he was the ultimate traveling salesman from the time I could remember him, being gone Monday through Friday and stuff like that. So my brother and sister and I would laugh every now and then when we got a skill set that my mom claimed my dad didn't have and mom claimed no knowledge of from her side of the family. We're like, all right, so dad's out of town. Mom, the milkman, the pool boy, who, yeah, so but we had fun with that. But it is funny to see something like that pop up in a family. It's like, you'll meet parents that are like 5'10". They're both 5'10", and then they got a kid that's 6'6". Like, where
yeah,
where
it's
did that come from?
crazy.
Yeah. So, um, Marist is in Poughkeepsie, New York. You are from Pittsburgh. How did you get to Marist College?
So my grandparents, they live in Hopewell Junction, which is 25 minutes from there. And we would see them once or twice a year, but I wanted to change. I didn't want to stay in Pittsburgh forever. It's always cloudy skies and gloomy and just the same thing over and over again. And I was always close to my grandparents, even though I didn't see them very often. So they obviously threw it out there. You should look at schools near us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, honestly, that wouldn't be a bad idea. And Marist had such a great music program, and I was really focused on singing at that time. So that's really what drew me there the most.
All right. So I love grandmother stories. Give me your best grandmother story.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Just during COVID, I would go over there every Sunday to see them. And during COVID, my grandpa's older, so they're 17 years apart, my grandparents.
Wow.
But my grandma would make him sit outside on the porch with this big comforter blanket on just so we could see each other and hang out because they didn't want him to be exposed to COVID since
Yep.
he's older.
So you would come sit on the
So
front
that
porch
was
with him?
yep.
Nice.
So it was just like everyone's like, she's crazy, making my mom and my aunts making dad sit out there with the blanket on. It's freezing. It's snowing outside. She's like, I don't care. Anything we can do to see you.
Yeah. And your grandfather was good with it, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't
You
care.
so what food does grandma make the best?
Well, she likes making her chicken parm, but I always liked when she would make these like double, triple stuffed potatoes.
I keep talking. Tell me what's in
It's like a
there.
baked potato, but then you stuff it with more potatoes and like cheese and bacon. And it was always like
Ooh.
this thick. It was huge.
And say what's the name of that?
Like triple stuffed potatoes.
All right, hang on a sec. I'm writing that down because I always take notes for each show, and I have a spreadsheet, and I always have the one of the things I learned on the show about somebody. Okay, does grandma have the recipe for that, or does she make it by memory?
I'm sure she has a recipe for it because I've asked her before if
Yeah.
we could make it here. So
It,
I can send it to you.
please do. If she's like my father-in-law, they just wing it. There is no recipe. They're like,
Yeah,
I felt like I
probably.
need a little bit of more of this time. It's like, why not last time? It's like, I don't know, it just didn't taste right.
Yep, always.
There was a nice spread about photo shoot about you in the Star News Online about Women in Construction Week. Nice. You love climbing on roofs now, do we?
I mean, I don't go up there often, but I visit job sites a lot more now, so I'll try to go up there when I can. If it's a really steep slope, I'm not going to go up
Yeah.
there because I don't want to fall off, of course.
Well, being a young person and a new person, we'll get to the female side in a minute, in the roofing industry, what have you learned and what advice would you give to new people or young people wanting to get into the roofing industry?
Really just go for it and learn as much as you can. I would sit in on sales meetings and come in a half an hour early just so I could sit in on them and kind of pick up more tips and tricks and more information about roofing as a whole because it is a lot. I remember my coworker and I that she's the office manager now, so we're both more in leadership positions since we started. We started a day apart from each other and 2 months went by and we were like, when are we going to learn anything? Like we felt like we couldn't learn it cuz it was so much. So really just being patient, like you're not going to learn everything right away. Just learning from others when you can is definitely the biggest help.
What kind of questions do you normally need to answer in your role when somebody approaches you about with a roofing question?
Um it's really easy when they ask me because people don't ask me too like much of difficult questions. It's kind of like, oh, can I get a roof inspection? How do I do that? And then I get all their information from them, their name, address, phone number, and then any extra info like, oh, I have a leak in my house or I'm missing some shingles and I keep seeing them on the ground outside. And then I sort of pass that on to our customer success rep and then she reaches out to them to schedule it. But I mean, people always ask, trying to think. They'll kind of always ask, like, oh, like that's expensive though. And really, you can get your roof replaced through insurance if you have any damage from any any recent storms. And insurance pays for it, and all you pay is your deductible. So that's a huge thing that I learned because I never knew that. I'm like, roofs are $20,000. I'm not paying that.
And I think most people would they'd lose the bet on how often you need to have your roof inspected because there's no way they're gonna answer 1 year.
No, never.
It's they're
They're like,
thinking
oh, I'm good. And what? Do you remember when you had your roof inspected last? Oh, I don't really know. Have you ever had your roof inspected? Some people, oh no, I don't think.
see that excuse me, that's the best question because well, we bought the house in 2008 and you're just waiting for them to think it through. It's like, oh, that's been a long time.
Yeah.
Are they, and they're easy for you to do, right? One of your folks comes out, gets up on the roof, does their thorough inspection then?
Yeah, so they do a full photo report and they'll take a video explaining what they found
Mm.
kind of show you the most like problem areas. And then we actually send the homeowner a live link where they can view all of those photos. Even if the job is getting completed, they can view all the photos in real time. Um, so even if they have like a second home in Wilmington and they're from New York, they can view that link from New York and see everything that's going on.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That
And then
helps.
we leave them a full report for their records afterwards. Obviously, if there's damage, we'll help them file a claim through insurance and walk them through the whole process. But definitely just leaving them all those photos and a full report is always the biggest help and differentiates us from a lot of people who won't go that far.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So I missed when I was bragging on you earlier about the 38 groups and things you're involved with. To top it off, not only did she sing opera in college and was on the dean's list, but Brittany is certified in John Maxwell Leadership Development Program. When did you have time for that?
Oh, so that was at 5 a.m. every Thursday morning. That's how, because I got up extra early. We actually, I'm so thankful. Monarch actually paid for it for all of the leadership team at our location.
Nice. Right. How
But
long was that program?
it was a 6 month program, I'm pretty sure. I think it was 6 months. It went so fast being so
Yeah.
early in the morning, but it was great. Like you read the book of the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And then we took notes on that. They had a whole note page that you take notes from what you read. And then we reviewed it together. We had a Zoom session with the Maxwell leadership coaches. And they kind of like, they would ask everybody specific questions like, what does this mean to you?
Mm.
Or name a time in your life that you had to go through a difficult situation and how did you overcome it? They had leadership cards that had different qualities, and you had to narrow it down to 10 and then 5 and then 1. So
Oh,
that was hard for all of us.
wow. And I bet this many different answers when you got to narrow it down to one, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we had to discuss them with everybody and why you chose that compared to what was your other choice. And a lot of us were conflicted between 2 or 3.
Mm. Yeah. And you could make a case, right? Because I was at a business seminar one day, and this guy was talking about the most important things in a small business. And I'm one of the two or three people that raised our hands and said cash flow. And he was like, "Well, are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah. You don't have any money to keep your doors open. That's kind of going to be a problem. Whether you're well
Yeah.
funded from day one or you're making money from day one, you kind of need cash flow." So it is interesting how people look at everything. But you're right, and it is good to hear different opinions on stuff. But the cash flow thing was, I thought it was funny. I still remember that. But okay, so let's get to the real point of this interview today, Brittany. You are in a mixed relationship. You are a Steelers fan. I believe your boyfriend is a Bengals fan. Are you two
Yes.
doing okay? I know it can be a little tense in the fall during football season.
Well, honestly, I'm not crazy into sports, but my dad is. So I'm really in it because he is. He's a diehard Steelers fan. He
Mm.
goes to almost every single game at Heinz Field. Because
And
I mean, it's 20 minutes away, so I get it.
and
He
he's been
never wants to
going.
leave Pittsburgh.
Yep, he's been going to those games since early '70s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandpa actually used to have a box at Heinz Field, so we would
Ooh,
go all the time.
ooh. I think way back when, before you were born, it was Three Rivers Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Well, now
Monongahela, the
Allegheny.
Allegheny, and then I forget the third one. Yeah, but so when did you break the news to your dad that you were dating a Bengals fan?
Yeah, it was really so we were friends for about 4 months
Hmm.
before we started officially dating. So I didn't really say much until we were actually dating. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, dad.
yeah.
By the way, he's a diehard Bengals fan." He's like, "What?" Like, "Oh no." He's like, "Nope, nope." He was like, "You can't." So he actually came to visit he came to meet my dad. He went up to Pittsburgh with me, and my dad's like, "Hey, your bed has a big Steelers blanket on it." And then he was like, "Oh, like we're watching TV," and he's like, "Oh, here, you need a blanket." Gave him a Steelers blanket. Um, he poured it. It was so funny. So we got him this little. you put a can into this beer thing and it makes a draft out of it.
Okay.
And he made him one so he could try it. And he got a glass that had a Steelers logo on the other side, and then it had some kind of like beer name on the front side. And right after he poured it, he turned the cup over and was like, "Look." And my boyfriend was, "Are you kidding me? Why'd you do that?"
I'm
You know, he
sure.
had to play
Yep.
some tricks on him.
There you go. Yeah, which, that's what I love about sport. I'm sure the first time you told your dad you're dating a Bengals fan, his first thought was, I thought I raised you better, sweetie.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
it proves the point that the heart wants what the heart wants, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And now, so this will be interesting for you should you and your boyfriend get married. I'm not asking, not putting pressure on you, but should you get married and the Bengals play the Steelers, A, who do you cheer for? And should you have kids, how will they be raised?
True. I would have to do Bengals because he's, again, I'm only
Ooh,
into sports because of my dad, but he's
yeah,
hardcore into sports. He'll sit there all day and watch it.
yep.
I actually went to well, when Bengals played the Steelers, I was visiting his family in Cincinnati for Christmas, and the Bengals played the Steelers, and I had to wear Bengals because I was with his entire family, and we were out in public, and I'm like, I cannot do that. I'm not
Yeah,
as bold.
yeah, that's you might want to go neutral or just put an orange shirt on because they're orange and black, so you can just kind of wear orange. But did your dad see a picture of you in that?
Oh yeah, he FaceTimed me after because the Steelers won, and he wanted to tell my boyfriend, "Ha, they won, beat the Bengals." So I answered with just my face because I'm like, "Oh shoot, he's gonna see me wearing Bengals." He's like, "What are you wearing?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm with his entire
Yeah.
family, and they're all wearing Bengals. Like, I cannot do that."
Then tell your boyfriend when he's with your dad's entire family, he has to wear a Steelers uniform or jersey, and that's not
He
happening.
wouldn't
No,
too. Nope.
no, I don't blame him. Some
Nope.
colors you just don't wear. Yep. So I respect
Nope.
that. Uh, so we're chatting earlier. Your mom is in Italy. You're headed that way. So now that I know you're a trained opera singer, are there any shows in Italy you could hit up and go to actually go to an opera?
I haven't even thought about that, honestly. I
Yep.
mean, I'm going with my boyfriend and we're visiting my sister, and I just know that they wouldn't want to do that.
Well, you wore a Bengals jersey
But
for him, Brittany. I think least he could do is go to an opera with you. So yeah.
I know I need to look into that. I didn't even think about it,
Yep.
honestly.
You should. And probably catch one or two. I'm sure they have a few going on wherever you're going. So yeah.
They'll have people on the streets singing too, because I actually studied
Oh.
abroad there. COVID hit when I was studying abroad there, so we got sent
Oh.
home, unfortunately.
Oh, bummer.
But yeah, but there were actually a lot of people out in the streets, like bands, people singing opera. I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah, you ought to stop and sing with them.
Yeah, I should.
Bring they have what little cases open where people can walk by and throw money in. You ought to bring your own.
Yeah,
Try to
I'll need
try
to.
to offset the trip.
Yeah. Like, hold on, I gotta do this real quick.
Honey, if I make $100, it's a good day. I'm a good singer. I think I should get that. Yeah. So, uh,
Yeah.
all right. So appreciate having you on the show today. Here it is. Today is April Fool's Day. That's not the reason you're on here today. I do not want you to draw any conclusions to you being on the show on April 1st. Give us a couple tips. People who watched or listened to the show, what should they do to check out their roof? Should they walk around the house? Should they call somebody? What's the first thing they should do to see, oh, yeah, I've not thought about my roof in 9 years?
You definitely want to look up your local trusted roofer. Look at their Google reviews, look at where they're located, look at how many years they've been in business. There are a lot of people that will just door knock and say, "Hey, we just had a storm a few months ago. Like, want me to go check on your roof for you?" Some of them will even cause damage themselves just to try to get your roof replaced and get your money from you. And then they won't even install the roof
Yeah.
properly. And you can't get that approved through insurance if it's improper installation.
Yeah. And
So
folks, yep,
definitely.
this is a legitimate, what she's saying is correct because I've heard this from other roofers. So this is not Brittany just trying to get all your business and don't call anybody else. that after storms, they're storm chasers or whatever
Yep.
phrase well, I'm sure that's probably the nicest thing they say about them. But they truly will knock on your door and tell you they work on roofs in a bad storm, and they'll take a look at it. So be very careful who goes up on your roof. So I appreciate you sharing that, Brittany, because people will do
Yeah.
that. Another thing I've learned is don't hire a roofer that won't climb on your roof.
Yeah. Obviously, we're just talking about drones.
Mhm.
Can't see it all.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So that should be one of the questions they ask the roofer. Do you actually climb up on the roof?
yeah.
Yeah. And maybe.
Marking up the roof too. We have chalk that will obviously chalk's gonna wash off.
Mm,
They like circle any damage. They make notes on the roof, and that they include that all in the photo
ooh,
report. We've
nice.
actually seen other roofers. One person, obviously, you want to get different estimates from people. So people normally get three different roofers to go out. Well, one of them showed up right after us, and we just got off the roof. And the girl they did the inspection with me. I was just like watching. It was my first week. She said, "Hey, make sure you don't use purple chalk," because she used purple chalk. And he's
Uh,
like, "What do you mean chalk? I don't have chalk." And that was weird.
but those are the things you learn. And also, folks, if you hire a roofer, ask them to show you their insurance. There's nothing wrong with that. They should have business insurance. They should have all the insurance they need to cover you should something go wrong. So you're not offending them if you're asking them to show proof of insurance.
Oh yeah, because you really don't need to be insured to be a roofer here. So
Yeah.
you really do want to look at that.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. But they should have business insurance. So please do ask
Yeah.
that. So, Brittany, love the tips. Thank you for coming on today. Learned that I do need that triple stuffed potato recipe from Grandma. Tell her I said thank you. Um,
I will.
And the fortified roofs, though, that's another good question. If they call up a local roofer, ask for some more, ask if they do that, and maybe study up on it a little bit before they come and talk to you about the different types of roofs to put on their house, maybe.
Yeah, like I said, they give you a grant towards a fortified roof. The insurance wants you to have it.
Oh,
So it's not really costing any extra money out of your pocket.
oh, good to know. Okay. And we've been putting Brittany's phone number on the screen here. What's the best website they can go to learn more about Monarch Roofing?
It's just monarchroofing.biz.
All right. And you guys have offices where?
Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, and Hilton Head.
All right. So if you live there or have a place there, there's your trusted roof right there. So Brittany, thank you for coming on today. Enjoy your trip to Italy. Can't wait to hear the stories on that. And we
Thank
will see
you.
everybody next time on Triangle BNI. Oh, hang on, Brittany, through the closing credits. Okay. Forgot to tell you that. Thank you.
You're
See everybody next
good.
time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.